Today we will be exploring of how Izuku would be without any form of communication or without any form of family help in this matter. In the anime, Izuku was shown to actually have some family help and actually be shown to at least have a loving mother or some kind like that. But in this type of thing, Izuku's mother would get rid of him, or in this term, abandon him. This will be What If Deku Was Abandoned, Part 1. If you guys would like to see another part of this, hit me know in the comment section down below and let me know with 100 likes and a comment down below, and I'll get this part out as soon as possible. Thank you all and enjoy. So, where would we like to begin? But let's just start off with Izuku being around 8 years of age. Izuku would live his life like normal, but on these terms, nothing's normal for him. Every time he wakes up, every single time he even breathes, moves, or even thinks out a term, his mother would always beat him brutally and blame him for all the stuff that's happened to her. Husband leaving her. Even Misky started to ignore her. All of the above. As this abuse has come to a point where Izuku is finally dead inside, like no one even loves him anymore. And through this behavior, Izuku is depressed and doesn't know what to do. Since he was 10 years of age, he didn't know how to react to this sort of situation that he put himself in. But one day, that would all change, and prove to be beneficial towards his career. Oi, Deku! Inko screamed, as Inko was reaching for the nearest weapon to throw near Izuku. As the moment it let her hand out, Izuku ducked for cover and tried to not get hit. "Mom, why are you hitting me?" Izuku said. "Because you're a useless piece of shit, why else would I hit you?" Inko said, screaming at her son. "My life was meant to be a relaxing, fun experience. The moment you would become a hero, I would leech off your money and wealth and fame and use that to my advantage to at least get something out of you. But now I can barely even get anything. You can't even get a part-time job even if you tried. Get out of this house." I said, "Get out!" Inko shouted, as Izuku tried to go and get his All Might toy that he managed to save up money from his grandparents sending him money every so often. As Inko grabbed Izuku by the neck without letting him get his All Might toy and threw him out of the house. As the moment Izuku tried to get back up, thinking that this was all just a dream, Izuku tried to reopen back the door, but to no avail. It was locked. As Izuku had nothing else to do that day, as he just slept at the front porch of the door until a person that he didn't know came to the front door of the Midoriya residence and came knocking with a giant thud. "Hi, is this the Midoriya residence?" "Yes, who is it?" Inko shouted. "We're Child Protective Services and we're here to take your son. You said you found him on the street." "Yes, I did. His name is Izuku. We don't know his last name." "Could you just take this quirkless brat off my hands?" Inko said. "He's quirkless, huh? I'll work with that," the man said internally, as the man took Izuku away from his mother. As the day went on from there, as Izuku arrived at a rundown orphanage with barely any people in, but the people who were in looked like they were unfed and kempt. They looked dirty, mucky, and a little bit of mold on their skin. As Izuku settled his bag of one little item, an All Might figurine that he had to hide, as Izuku would sit down on the bed, feeling the cold air brush against his skin, as the bed sheet that was given to him was so paper thin, you couldn't even realize it was even a blanket at that point. You couldn't even realize even if it was. You could rip it with just a pinch of your fingers. as Izuku sat there, shivering every night until he heard footsteps coming up from the stairs. "You sure that quirkless kid will be up to the chance?" the old man voice said. "I'm pretty sure he's quirkless after all, and he's also 10 years of age, so he should be able to at least hold 2 or 3 quirks at most, sir," the man said. "Good enough for me. As long as he holds up to the master's plans, we should be able to get All Might to at least surrender and makes it think that the person he is fighting is a child. I hope Master can recover soon, so he can recover his reign and terror on this city." As the doctor walked into the room, and Izuku had his head under his bedsheet, pretending to be asleep. "So is this the kid?" "Yes, it is. He'll make a fine specimen to become a Nomu." "Well then, let's get to work, shall we?" As Dr. Ujiko pulled out a syringe and injected Izuku with morphine. As Izuku thought he wouldn't be going to sleep that day, but he knew in his heart that he will not be waking up anytime soon. As 2 years have passed, Bakugo always wondered where his punching bag went, but he never bothered looking, since it was a useless, quirkless person in his mind. "Izuku," Mitsuki said, "where do you think Izuku's gone? It's been 2 years, and Inko hasn't even bothered to even text me or anything. I wonder what she's doing nowadays," Mitsuki said. "Why don't you just call her and your question will be answered yourself," Masaru said. "Don't you think I've already tried that? I've even tried to hop to her own address, but the moment I did, the place would look like it was ransacked. I've tried to call the police and scheduled a kidnapping, but Inko wasn't kidnapped. She moved to America, so I'm guessing she's going to meet her deadbeat husband then." "I guess so, and if she has, well then, I don't know how that's gonna end up." "Inko, why did you do that? What's wrong with the poor Izuku?" Mitsuki said, shedding a little tear for her friend, thinking that she might be in trouble. As we would skip 5 years into the future with Izuku Midoriya's point of view, as Izuku has been asleep for almost 5 years of his life since he was 10 years of age. As he was waking up from that sleep, as the moment Izuku awoke, he couldn't even feel much, but the things he could feel was the scars on his body and the actual feeling of new body parts being added. Don't think about that, you fucking perverts. As this would carry on until the doctor will arrive. As Izuku would have woken his eyes wide open, or open his eyes wide open, as Izuku would look around the lab and see that it looked like an old and rendered factory, but in turn it looked like a medieval lab used to create the bodies and merge them together to create monstrosities of destruction and chaos. As Izuku's, pod opened, as the only thing Izuku could do was flop to his feet and try and stand up. As the moment he did, Ujiko came over to him and placed a hand over the boy, telling him to rise. "Rise, my glorious creation." As the boy stood up, as Dr. Ujiko inspected the boy's body and made sure the quirks that was given to Izuku was correct. As Izuku's only reaction to any of this was basically just, he didn't understand it. He still had the mind of a 10-year-old inside of a 15-year-old body. As Dr. Ujiko gave the kid an order as Izuku, in her instinct, felt like he had to fall through with it or something bad would happen. As Izuku threw his arm forward and created energy into his palm, as Dr. Uchiko told him to stop, as Izuku did so. As a man ranging from 6 foot to even to 7 foot tall came walking into the room, as a menacing aura followed, as the only thing they could even feel was fear. Here, as Izuku tried to bow down, but Dr. Uchiko told him to stand. "So is this gonna be fine on the USJ raid?" All for One said. "Yeah, we're fine. We've only worked on him for a little bit of time. While I worked on the others, it took 5 years to perfect him, but this one should at least turn All Might's back against him. Because I've tried to make him stay looking like a kid, and not like a full-on freak of a natured Nomu." "Fair enough then. Send him out with Shigaraki immediately," All for One said. "But sir, we need to test to make sure his gene editor chip works. Make sure it works and then send him then. I don't care as long as this works." As All for One stepped away, as Izuku was confused, as the chip behind Izuku's neck would activate, giving the order that Izuku needed to do everything he said. As Izuku leapt through that portal, as Izuku ended up into the USJ, facing his next full battle. We're going to leave it off today. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and see you all later.